I don't say.
My name is Kyle Johnson. I'm from LaPlace, Louisiana. I'm the executive chef at Community Matters Cafe. How I met Gerald Hawkins. I met Gerald at NCRLA cooking competition. I didn't know who he was at all. He came up and started talking to me and Brando like he knew us. I thought it was kind of weird. And he asked to come and taste his dish. And I came, tasted it, and I'm like, oh, this man can actually, like, he can bake. Like, this stuff is real.
Full name, Gerald Warren Hawkins Jr. That's my dad's name. I'm proud of that. So I put it on everything. When people try not to put the junior on the end, I tell them to put the junior on the end. It's really important to me. I'm from a town that nobody knows about. And it's easily, I think, between everybody, it's the smallest town. And I have to say it every time. It's North Carolina. And there's nothing there except tobacco fields and grass. It's actually the land I grew up on was the same land that my family, when they were freed from slavery, that they started out with. But anyway, Kenya. I met Kenya at Lee and Louise. I think she was like everything there when I met her. But the thing I learned quickly about her is that she loves coffee, and she's like a mixologist of coffee. Seeing how interested she was in coffee was something that I'll always remember, because that was the first time I met a black person that was interested in coffee like that. So that's it.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Well, my name is Kenya Argison. I was born in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I own By Any Means Necessary. I do coffee consulting, coffee programs, things of that nature. How I met Sakani. Well, funny story. I was actually 19, so that what's 27 minus 19? Woo! Quick math. Yeah, so anyways, met her when I was 19. My first job was Studio Movie Grill. I actually was a line cook. And she was, I think we were like head bartender. Crazy enough, 2 years ago, we met again and been close ever since. She's a phenomenal person, very supportive and everything. Very good friend. She's also a Pisces, so gang gang.
My name is Sakani Akunyan. I am a mixologist. I have a pop-up that I like to feature all of my friends. It's called Lavender Libations. It's a pop-up experience. And then Brando, I met Brando in, I think, 2019. Oscar was over the Soul Food sessions, and we did Young Guns, and I was the mixologist, and B was one of the chefs. B's always been real chill, real cool, and I love that about him.
My name is Brandon. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Been in Charlotte for going on 10 years now. I met my brother Kyle. First interaction with Kyle was at Johnson & Wells. You know the story I'm telling. First interaction with Kyle was at Johnson & Wells, and I was walking through the hallway. I had already graduated my culinary labs. I seen a brother walking down the hallway with the cart, just like mean mugging, like coming down the thing. I said, "What's up, brother?" Brother kept walking. I said, next thing I know, maybe like a month and a half later, he started working at Asbury, and we've been friends ever since then. You know, going through different things, growing, becoming men in our own skin, and becoming great chefs.
Y'all mean turn the fireplace off?
Oh, that's what that one was.
Then
I don't have only off.
History and Homage first came about. We were actually in this very house. We was chilling, and it was like, yo, we need to do something for Black History Month to really understand our history and see what happens when we try to get a lot of us together and do dope things. And then next you know, the two words came out, History and Homage.
It was really just me and Brando trying to figure out a way to come up with something that was in respect to our culture as individuals. Like, I'm from New Orleans, he's from Virginia. During the time we were scrolling through Instagram, and we just weren't seeing anything that was to the elevation that I knew that we were capable of as chefs. The current landscape of food, not Black food, but food in America, without what Black women have done in this country and out of this country to affect the system that's here. So my first one that I wanted to really touch on was Leah Chase, who I've had the blessing to be able to meet before. She's cussed me out before. You have not lived till you've been cussed out by a 95-year-old woman with 3 fingers. Meat grinder accident. She was a thug. Yeah, so wanted to really, pay a lot of respect to what Miss Leah has done in the culinary industry. And then Brando had picked, you had picked Edna Lewis. So those are the two pillars, honestly, two of the biggest pillars of Southern food and farm to table movement in this country. I think the coolest part was seeing how other people learned about this with us as we learned it, and we were able to share it with them. And they not only sensed our excitement to find their original recipes that they had written down, and to see how it was written, to see how they measured things, to see some of the techniques that's like, it was so funny to see like how some of it like was reinvented today with like within molecular gastronomy and all this fine dining stuff. Like, dang, like, nah, black people have been doing this.
We did a rice nigiri with gold rice, bay leaves, and fresh greens on top. We did a play on Brunswick stew with a homemade cracker, tomato jam, and turkey rillette. And then we also did a bologna sandwich made with chicken thighs, inspired by Dirt by Kwame Dawes. And the poem touched on getting from higher to lower, however you see fit, based off your life.
And then the other dish that me and Breno did was a dirty rice, and it was played by We Were Masked by Paul Lance Dunbar. And the poem illustrates how we as black people in this country have to put on a mask, have to put on a facade to really make it and survive and kind of be safe. But that underneath that mask, and that it's no matter how it looks, it's all beauty within. So we made a dirty rice, which, traditionally using the cheapest cuts of meat. And then on top was like a really beautifully made salad of like all these different greens, of dandelion greens, of mustard greens and collard greens, and red leaf lettuce with radishes in vibrant colors.
The first thing I thought of when coming up with the dish immediately was, how can I have a link to everybody that's going to be a part of this lineup? The work I chose was by Alan Locke, and it was a compilation of a bunch of art that came from the Harlem Renaissance. So I was like, perfect. The actual dish was a fermented strawberry cake.
So I created a couple of beverages. The first one is called Forbidden Roots. Just my take on an Ethiopian coffee ceremony. I brewed it with some cardamom, some cloves, some cinnamon, very delicious, a little bit of bitterness. On the side, I added some butter, and then I added some honey as well, so people can kind of sweeten it or make it creamy with the butter. The whole point behind it was the book Roots by Alex Haley, just going back to oral traditions. And what do we do with coffee? We drink it. And then I created another beverage called God-Bodied Ambrosia Tea, evaporated milk, some brown sugar, and I, of course, use Ethiopian coffee. So it's a traditional drink. It's usually made in Hong Kong, but I kind of made the black version of it. And I got it from Lucille Clifton, Won't You Celebrate With Me, because ambrosia tea is for gods, and I feel like God is within us and we are God-bodied.
I had 3 mocktails, and the one thing that I love about History and Homage is that I get to do mocktails for all of the dishes. It can be very trying or difficult when I don't have a spirit to help guide my flavor profile. Since this one was based off of literature, I did mine based off of Black playwrights, because I have a performing arts background. My first play was for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow was not enough, and I used 3 different vegetables and I juiced them. They were the same ingredients but different colors to represent not only the rainbow, but how we as Black people, we are all made of similar backgrounds and history and all those good things, but we are still part of one ray of sunshine. I did a raisin in the sun as well. So I chose to do a fruit punch. That fruit punch consisted of 5 different fruits that have been sun-dried, because there are 5 main characters in that play. So my last mocktail was based off of what history says is the first African-American playwright known to America. He was an immigrant from the West Indies. So I made bush tea from scratch, which I was just like, ah! And I paired it with a spiced coconut milk to sweeten it up. And I used hibiscus on purpose because the first play that he wrote was a massacre. So it was very bloody. So I used hibiscus because it's red.
Whole whole mission since I've been a kid was really, I remember I was 16, I came under the realization of how blessed and privileged I was in my life from growing up in a 2-parent household, easy living circumstances. So if I don't take what I've been blessed with and bless somebody else with that, then I wasted all of the blessings I've ever been given. I want to be remembered for someone who is willing to give their energy, their time, their resources, all of that to help somebody else's journey and create that cycle of that.
So I want history to say about me, I was an innovator. My dad, he wanted to be an inventor. He wanted to come up with something that was going to change the way people live their lives, but he just didn't have that opportunity because he had 2 kids when he was 21 and he had to work. He didn't go to college until he was 30 something years old. And so I just want history to say that I was a creator, I was an innovator. I gave something to the community of my home state that nobody ever came up with.
The first thing I want history to say is I did it. That I did everything I put my mind to. Before I'm a barista, just being, a human being, I want to affect people. I want them to remember me as being a supportive friend, daughter, all these things. And because I really ride for my friends. I love my friends. I want to pay homage to my little brothers, but then also I gotta brag on myself a little bit. Because I grew up so timid and so shy, and I never seen anyone that looked like me in coffee. And I was so scared. I was so afraid of my own potential, and I would self-sabotage. This is also like my family and my friends, homage to them, but my younger self who didn't know I existed, who was so scared to break through all the barriers and to create a space for not only me, but potential other Black men and women who are like, I kind of want to do this. I just want to be remembered as she did it, but while she did it, she was a good person too.
I have always said, because I've always, all those alwayses, I've always told myself that I'm a celebrity, I'm famous. And then that evolved into me really believing that I was famous, and I was just waiting on the world to catch on. I have been able to transform my performing arts career into this form of performing arts, which is mixology. As far as who do I want to pay homage to, it would definitely be family, and it would definitely be diversity. If you believe it, keep believing, keep doing that. I have a little person, and her teachers tell me all the time, she's so well-spoken, she's so nice, she's so helpful. And I have all of you guys to thank for that. You guys are helping my little person grow and helping me be famous.
Everything they said. No, just playing. How I want history to remember me is when you eat or even talk to me, I want you to remember that experience. I speak my truth whenever I talk, and I put my truth into the profession I'm in right now. I want to pay homage to my predecessors and my peers. So everybody in here, I've gotten inspired from them so many times, more times than they can probably think of. From Shay being one of the first people I met at Haymaker and picking up her cleanliness and organization, to Oscar and Coop giving me the connection to being from Virginia. Like, I never knew the history of Virginia for real, until I met them. Shout out to Jazz for like pushing the boundaries and challenging, oh snap, what's that? And just being inquisitive, like all those things. Kyle, like just challenging me as a human being to go, B, you know you shit, come on. And Gerald, we are connected through the innovation aspect of it all. Like, this brother mine worked crazy. I was like, bro, my mind worked like that, bro. How can you make me a rice flour Pullman loaf? Say less, I'm gonna get back to you tomorrow. Look at how a whole recipe. I'm like, bro, like, come on, man, stop being great like that. To Kenya, knowing Kenya since Johnson & Wales, once we started working with each other and seeing passion develop into a whole vibe. And Sakani, just feed more into an inquisitive nature. She about to and Sakani's inquisitive nature definitely churned my mind as I worked with her and Leah and Louise, going like, yo, okay, that's interesting. How can I take what you're applying to a spirit or a drink and apply it in a reverse way into food? So my homage goes to everybody in this room and anybody who's not, that inspires my creativity.
History and Homage Part 3 was super dope. It was like a family reunion kind of thing. Everything that comes after this one will be bigger and better. So don't miss out. Hello.
Hey, I just really appreciate everybody agreeing to this. To do what we have been able to do and to do it at such a young age is a blessing. And I can't wait to see where this grows to, and I can't wait to see who this goes out to reach. And yeah, I'm just excited for the future of History and Homage.
I appreciate everybody in this room for one saying yes to me and Kyle when we reach out and saying, yo, y'all want to be a part of this thing that we're doing involving food with a bunch of black people.
All right. 1, 2, 3.